Atrium Carceri is a dark ambient project that needs no introduction. Since 2003, Simon has become an absolute powerhouse and perhaps one of the most influential people in the dark ambient scene. Having now released 21 albums, if you consider all the collaboration albums, he is by far one of the most talented, legendary, and just overall important figures in the modern day dark ambient scene. Surely most people know Simon Heath and Atrium Carceri from the Cryo Chamber record label. But of course, before Cryo Chamber existed, Simon Heath made a name for himself on the monumental Swedish industrial label Cold Mid Industry. Embraced by fans for his rich storytelling and immense atmosphere, it was only a matter of time before he'd be offered a soundtrack opportunity. That opportunity, of course, came back in 2015 when he composed the Old City Leviathan soundtrack, a PC game which I personally never played, but for what it's worth, this is one of my all-time favorite Atrium Carceri releases. So that about takes us up to 2020 when Atrium Carceri was asked to compose a soundtrack for the Mortal Shell video game. Mortal Shell is a action, role-playing video game released by Cold Symmetry and available on the Xbox, PlayStation 4, and Microsoft Windows formats. Once again, this vlogger guy here has not played the Mortal Shell video game, but the presence of Atrium Carceri has surely motivated me to do so, and probably even more so after I finish this review. This Mortal Shell release is a 15-track, 40-minute long album. It takes that classic Atrium Carceri sound we all know and love and intermingles it with further industrial beats and sort of harsher tones to create this wonderful, deep, ritualistic soundtrack. As it, sometimes goes with soundtracks, these songs on this album are pretty short. Most are in the 2-minute range, some are even less. This, of course, is common ground for Atrium Carceri. Simon has more or less been doing this since the very beginning of his music career. So if you've enjoyed any single Atrium Carceri record and appreciate those shorter songs, this is the album you're really going to enjoy. The album kicks off with the Executioner, a slow-building, gritty, dark, ominous, atmospheric song which has these sort of muffled chants in the background, which is just this ritualistic and just dark vibe, and it's just a fantastic song to kick this album off with. The second song, Deep Roots, fuses industrial beats and Gregorian chanting. This song gives up a feeling of just something really big and bad is gonna happen. As I listened, it sort of created this mental picture of sort of going into some sort of battle arena. And I sort of saw this opponent and I was pretty friggin' scared. Fallgrim, perhaps a character or a world in this video game, is a much more just kind of dark, atmospheric, and straightforward, just really immense soundscape. It's short and to the point, but man, what a great song. The Cathedral has a much more angelic and ethereal quality to it. Quickly, however, these industrial beats and much more menacing character enters the song. Suddenly, I'm reminded of those religious fanatics, cultists from the Silent Hill movie, and it's pretty fucking cool. The tower starts out rather calm and once again ethereal-like, but eventually goes into this sort of deep, throat singing kind of thing, and just this really kind of darker tone. And you don't really get that feeling right from the beginning of this song. In fact, at the beginning, I thought this felt like a save room or something like that, a piece of tranquility and a safe zone, but perhaps not. Darkfather once again has the industrial beats present, and it mixes in this much more ethereal quality again, and with this much more calming, but also kind of just really menacing tone to it. Just another really great song. Sanctum, surely not the Inner Sanctum, is a much more straightforward dark ambient track. It has a sort of heavy breathing in the background, and it really makes you feel like something is, sneaking up behind you, and if I was you, I'd look over your shoulder right now. Ritual at the end of the time had a sound that I wasn't really expecting, but it's freaking awesome. With this song, Simon takes the listener back to what I felt like was 1970s horror films, or in particular, zombie films, and that is super freaking cool. Ow, ow. Oh, she's so cute! When all is said and done, Mortal Shell is a pretty damn good soundtrack. What I found to be most fascinating about the soundtrack is that each song offered up a unique personality, and it was easy to visualize in my mind what these songs could possibly be. Of course, now it would be interesting to play the video game and actually see these songs in action and see where they fit into this video game. Hearing a soundtrack before playing a video game is not unknown to me. Back in the 90s and even the early 2000s, I would often buy Japanese soundtracks without having played the game. I would buy them because I had heard the composer's previous work or because I had just heard a sample and it sounded damn good and I decided to pick the soundtrack up. Either way, it's really cool just hearing the soundtrack before actually playing the video game or watching the movie, because you can create those mental pictures in your mind before actually playing the game or watching the movie or anything. That's one of the things I love about dark ambient in general. It's a moving picture show. It's cinema for the mind and for the ears. And here on the Mortal Shell soundtrack, Atrium Carceri, Simon Heath, man, he nailed it. Really good soundtrack, and I mean, the only thing I would say I dislike about this soundtrack is I wanted more. Yeah, just 40 minutes. I wouldn't have minded a little bit more, but who knows? Maybe 40 minutes is just enough. And as I said, each of these songs kind of has its own personality, so it's quite an adventure. So on the front cover, we have the, well, I don't know because I haven't played the video game, but if you have played the video game, feel free to clue me in on the comments below. Then on the back, we have the track listing, of course, and it's important to note here, too, that this comes in sort of a, I guess what you would call a digibook. So then there we have all the important liner notes, as you can see there. The Mortal Shell logo on that page. We have text, which I can assume is related from the video game or directly, from the game. More text. There you have it, the Mortal Shell soundtrack artwork on the CD. Hell yeah, man. In my opinion, the Mortal Shell soundtrack is by far one of the best creations from Simon Heath in recent years. That's not to take anything away from his recent creations, but I just really like this the more I listen to it. So if anything I've said in this review resonates with you and sounds good, definitely head over to the Crowd Chamber Bandcamp website where you can buy this for $19. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for joining me on the Inner Sanctum here tonight. As usual, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed what you saw. If you really enjoyed what you saw, try and post this on your social media. Perhaps Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You know what? They all work well and it helps me out, and that's awesome. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time on the Inner Sanctum.